William Corbin, from the get-go. I went to school with his twin, which I did not know he had a twin until Monday morning when I saw his press conference, and I asked James, I said, hey, is did that guy go to North Greenville? Because that's where I went. And James like, no, but he has a twin. And I was like, man, that makes so much sense. But Monday night was just a joy to be around him. I read the orange card. And for him to be that vulnerable straight out of the bat, I commend him on being able to share that with me. That was huge.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest G Vegas Gridiron Fantasy Football Podcast. Our usual host, John Libby McLovin, couldn't be here tonight, unfortunately. He may hop on later, but we are very, very honored to be joined by our two newest members, the South Georgia Catfish, managed by Bob Pickerel, and the ICE HR Department, managed by Daniel Tiarico Areza. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Good to be here. Appreciate the invite. Mid-season call-up.
Hey, we appreciate the mid-season join. I know it's always tough to join with someone else's draft.
Long-time listener, first-time caller. Thank you.
So, boys, let's go ahead and jump right in. So we asked the chat for a few questions. Really, the idea of this show is to give everyone an opportunity to get to know you a little bit, hear a little bit about who you are, and especially those that weren't able to join our pickleball event on Monday. I say pickleball, Monday Night Football. What a Monday Night Football it was, by the way. We'll get to that in a minute. So one of our beloved members wants to know just a little bit about your fantasy football background. Bob, I'll start with you. Would you mind telling us, break us down, like, what's your fantasy football experience?
So I played quite a bit. I may be a little bit older than you guys, but I started playing probably late 1990s through the 2000s is kind of my heyday. And I had a pretty good league that I was a part of. We had about 10 guys, not the 16 guys that y'all have, but it was a pretty tight group for about 8 years, and pretty competitive. But I won a few of the years that we went through. Yeah, had a great time. I think the league itself too was more baseball when it started. So I did a lot of baseball at that time too. I think the same guys kind of transitioned into more football as well. So it was a good experience. I really enjoyed it. But then, yeah, kind of after about that time frame, kind of got away from the leagues. Didn't have, the group of guys kind of broke up and didn't really join any for a while. So here it is. I have played before, but I haven't played in a while. So it's good to be back in the league.
Bob, when you think back to those days, what was the best draft pick that you made, if you can recall one that really impressed you?
Well, I guess the sleeper, and this name may fly under the radar, but Priest Holmes was a running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, and we were playing in it was like, revolutionary. We started giving points for catches and stuff at that time too, and he was like a lower draft, like maybe 7th or 8th round draft pick for me, and he, I think, led the league in points scored by the end of the season. So I think I won that year on the strength of Priest Holmes. So
when you first started, were there sites to keep track of the fantasy, or was it newspaper and tallying your own scores?
No. Luckily, we had the internet and everything by that point, so it was all up and running. But I can't remember what the site was.
They're looking at stones. They're just like etching into stones their fantasy scores.
Well, you would write the player name on the stone, and then you could kind of like hand it to somebody else, if like for a trade or whatever.
There you go.
Yeah, so it was all
you got your glass of milk at the front door in the Monday Night Football score from last night.
when the USA Today showed up at the front step.
Oh, that's
But
great.
no, I can't remember what site we used, but it was not as nice as the sleeper site. That's they've done a pretty good job there.
Well, Bob, we can tell that you don't use Fantasy Pros because you've already gotten a trade done in your first 2 weeks in the league, and everyone that we have that uses Fantasy Pros just can't seem to get any deals going. It's almost like that trade calculator is a little bit off. So kudos to you for that.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but I will. I definitely don't use that. So yeah,
Yeah, you might want to keep it that way.
you can't take that. Yep. So you can never know when somebody's going to get hurt or when the trade will just kind of fall apart. So
Yeah.
you just gotta take it, what you
Which,
got in front
Bob,
of you.
speaking of trades falling apart, DJ was one of the guys that left a comment. Obviously, he's just acquired Kyler Murray from you. He says that
Yes.
he has his receipt. He's wondering if he can do a return.
Well, yeah, I would say like the wide receiver that I was really after was hurt the first week too. So that those things happen. I'm sorry.
So no
They
sympathy from Bob is what
you
I'm
can't
hearing.
ever think that. No, no, those things
Luck of the
happen.
draw.
He was hurt when he was hurt when he was traded.
True.
Very true. Very true.
That happened.
Now, Daniel,
Daniel.
shift, yep, shifting over to you for a little bit. Can you walk us through your fantasy football background?
Yeah, so being completely Hispanic and only watching and playing the real football, I played no part in any kind of football NFL wise until I think I'm from New Jersey, so imagine being minutes away from the all-time great Giants that beat the Patriots in their seasons and won Super Bowl. uh, I was just a little Hispanic kid, be like, what's going on? But I started watching New Jersey in before '07. But once I moved to South Carolina, that's what people did. And I needed new friends because I didn't have any. So that's when I got into college football, but kept watching the Giants, but nobody really liked NFL, or I guess watched it as much. And the Panthers were terrible at that time, I think, until Cam Newton showed up. So my first fantasy football experience, I actually went to a draft party and was the DJ. So they would draft players and you would do a walk-up song for who was drafting. And so I was in charge of playing the people's walk-up song. It's a 16-man league. And I just showed up to just hang and catch a vibe. And I used to DJ weddings, and so it was like a fun thing to do. Uh, But one year they had a guy not be able to rejoin the league. And that's when I joined a league called A Few Good Men, who has been going on for the last 15 years. And I've been in it the last 5 years. So that was my first exposure to fantasy football. And I actually won it my third year, which was kind of crazy. But, everything just felt great. But the funny thing is, in that league, they don't do trades. They don't do like any of that stuff. It's literally just like waiver wire. For some reason, just nobody trades. They just kind of keep going. I did my first trade ever in that league this year, and it was for J.K. Dobbins. So, and it was kind of crazy. So that's my fantasy football. So I'm in that, and then I'm in a dynasty. So I went from like zero fantasy football to a 16-man league, a dynasty, and then this one that communicates more than I think my wife and I do, and we talk every day. It's crazy, but I'm all for it. So a little bit of experience, but a lot of heart and passion to be a part of a group of community.
No, I can sympathize with that. I think my wife and I text. We probably sent like 5 texts the month of November, and definitely sent a lot more in the chat. So, yeah, it's very active. It's a great group.
Great, yeah, I love it.
Now, what I'm
Which
hearing from
James
that is that we need to
James was
start.
in the dynasty league. James was
Yeah,
in
go
this
ahead,
dynasty league
Daniel.
that I'm in, and and they hated him. I told them I worked with a guy named James, and they're like, "Oh, dude, f that guy."
So let me provide some backstory on that one because that really is that was a wild time. So I joined that league after I went to like a Greenville Triumph game and ran into a couple of old friends, one of whom was in that league. This is a name that some of you will recognize, Austin Schlarb. and so Schlarb had actually invited me to join this league. He was talking it up, and he was like, "Yeah, man, it's super active, and the guys get together all the time. We've got a podcast. We do all these different things. There's all these gatherings. We got this super awesome chat." Now I've been in this league now, obviously, since the beginning. And so I was picturing something like this. And I love this. So I was like, hey, if I can get more of that with a different group of guys, heck yeah. I joined apparently when it was heading into a little bit of a down year. There was no active chat. I don't think anyone got together the entire season except for draft night, which, since it was a dynasty, it was only rookies. And I think everyone had I want to say for people had an hour per pick. It was a really long process. And so after 1 year of that, I was like, hey, this is not at all what I thought this was going to be. I'm out. And I think that year I made my money back, I want to say. I made it to the playoffs, made my money back, and then just dipped out. And then Daniel took my place and had to clean up the mess from that horrible year. And it doesn't sound like it's gone very well. I don't think I set that team up for success long term.
No, I've been rebuilding for 2 years, so there's that. Yeah. But yeah, little exposure, little knowledge of the game, honestly. I love to watch. I know the rules, but I'm just, I just love the camaraderie. Really what I'm in for.
Now, Daniel, you've already said you're a Giants fan. What about college football?
Well, when I got to South Carolina in 2007 and everybody was watching college football, I had to make a decision. It was between Clemson and South Carolina. To be honest, probably one of the easiest decisions I've ever made in my lifetime. I don't think I'll ever make an easier decision because Clemson fans are just probably the most annoying people I've ever encountered in my life.
Amen.
And I truly don't think there's a spot in heaven for them. And so man, music to my ears watching Dabo on Monday just complain about the refs. Of course you're going to complain about the refs. You literally lost to Duke. That tied the whole game with you guys the whole time. And I mean, bad call or not, Duke should not hang 47 points on the number 4 team in the country coming into this season with the number 1 contender of Heisman. So if you haven't gotten it yet, I'm a Carolina fan. Yeah. Which by no means are we great, but at least we're realistic. And so
self-aware.
Yeah.
Self-aware.
So, but yeah.
So are you from New York? Is that where you have the Giants affiliation?
Yeah, I was born in New Jersey, 20 minutes away from the Hudson River. Literally MetLife, which is called the Meadowlands, was like my backyard. So
nice.
I used to go up there all the time.
And how long have you been in G Vegas?
Since 2007.
Okay, nice.
So I've lived in South Carolina longer than I lived in New Jersey.
Yeah.
But
there you go.
I can still taste better pizza and better bagels.
I'll give you that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so
there you go. Bob, what are your sports allegiances?
I'm a Georgia Bulldog. Went to Georgia, graduated from Georgia, and been a Georgia fan ever since.
There you go.
And I think Clemson scored maybe 10 points on Georgia combined the last 2 times they played Dogs.
Love that.
You're a terrible fan base in a team when more than one team hates you. I mean, it's such a collective effort. James,
we pretty much don't like anybody that wears orange.
Dude, I put James into a Clemson hate text group. I think there's 7 different affiliates in that group text, and it's literally just how much you hate Clemson. It's the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's not success it's not hatred because of success either. I mean, some of these teams, there's an Illinois fan in there, Notre Dame. There's no reason for these schools to have anything against Clemson. They don't even play. I don't even know that Clemson's ever played Illinois, but they live in the area and they hate these people.
Yeah,
it just comes natural.
I mean, I remember, and James, when we were back on the Vipers playing soccer, no one wore Clemson. If on a Saturday anyone was wearing anything, it was Gamecocks or other teams. they start to get the lick of good, everyone's wearing Clemson. So I've seen how many people are not true fans, and you know, just puts a bad
Mm-hmm.
taste in your mouth. So I
Well,
yeah, as a Virginia Tech fan, I hate Clemson.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Everyone, like, this is a table for everybody, like, just come to the table.
That's right.
Back in those days, Chris, I mean, Clemson was busy losing 70-33 against West Virginia. I mean, Taj Boyd, their main man, their Heisman frontrunner, who just put up a few yards and a few tutties against Furman. I mean, they would be shouting his name from the rooftops. But he went 0-4 against the flagship university of the state of South Carolina. Not a single time. God bless. God bless them. All right. So, Bob, we talked about your college affiliation. What about your NFL affiliation? I know you've taken some flack for maybe taking a hometown boy there in your trade. But again, you got rid of injured Kyler Murray. Are the rumors true that you're an Atlanta Falcons fan?
That is a true statement. And it's pained me for much of my life being an Atlanta Falcons fan. And um, I've tried to separate myself from, from the Falcons, but it has not taken yet. I survived the 28-3 Super Bowl, and that was maybe one of the most painful nights of my life. That was not a good experience, but I think we were more of a college town than an NFL town. You know, you'd root your heart out on Saturday, and then you tune into the game on Sunday and see how things went down. So you never got too upset about that, except for if you lose the Super Bowl after being up 28-3.
That's a tough one. I think that is one of the most memorable Super Bowls that I can think of.
Yeah.
And I have no affiliations
Yeah.
to either team. Yeah, that's an
was
infamous
not
one
a good
for
night.
sure.
Yeah.
Remember where I was when I watched it. I was actually watching it
Mhm.
with some Patriots fans, and at
yeah.
halftime, you would have thought that someone had died. I mean, it was almost awkward to be there. But as you can imagine, obviously, by the end of the game, you'd never seen a room so full of joy and just pure elation. I'm sure your experience was much different, Bob.
It was the opposite of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't start. We've learned that you don't start toasting bourbon at halftime of the Super Bowl until the game's over. Maybe wait till after the game. No celebratory shots at halftime. You want to stay away from that.
Yeah, no, that was a tough one. Well, you guys have jumped into this league, and we certainly have our group of characters. We all are one. Any great first impressions, good or bad, that's really stuck out to you guys?
William Corbin, from the get-go. I went to school with his twin, which I did not know he had a twin until Monday morning when I saw his press conference, and I asked James, I said, "Hey, did that guy go to North Greenville?" Because that's where I went. And James like, "No, but he has a twin." And I was like, "Man, that makes so much sense." So, but Monday night was just a joy to be around him. Uh, I read the orange card. And for him to be that vulnerable straight out of the bat, I commend him on being able to share that with me. So that was huge. Um, and I don't know if I'm still learning names. So let me get into the sleeper here. Let me see. There's somebody, nope, Discord, that for some reason, and I think it's because I'm Hispanic. Um, Kurt John ha- doesn't surprise me that he's in the army at all.
Mm.
Um, but I mean, is he an ICE agent? Straight up.
No, so believe it or
I don't
not,
think ICE allows homosexuals. I think that's just the army. So
Yeah.
no.
believe
I mean, he's just infatuated with my butthole for some reason. But I don't know if he's like trying to be the biggest at the lunch table in the prison cell or what. But I don't understand yet. I love it, just don't understand it.
So here's
No.
something that I bet will surprise you about Kurth Dash John. He actually has not voted for Trump in any of the past 3 elections. I think based on the chat, it's probably stunning. Stunning that hasn't been
Is
the
he a
case,
convict?
but not yet that we know of. But I wouldn't put it past him.
That's my two
Kurth,
impressions.
Kurth is a special boy. He's very humble.
What's
His mom's
is
very
that
proud of
is
him.
his last name? Is his last
It
name Kurth?
is.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I just thought he spelled his name wrong.
Yeah, no, so his full name, just so you know, is John Alexander Kurth the fourth.
All of that tracks. Not
Yeah, oh
surprising to
yeah.
me.
Wears his name proud.
Bob, what about you? Any characters that stand out to you early on in the league?
Oh, I think the whole thing has just been kind of overwhelming. I have not been in a league, I think we had telephone tag or whatever when I was running the thing before, but having the Discord and all the communication on that has been crazy, and trying to keep up with some of that has been fun. But no one hesitated to reach out with trades, and DJ working through DJ. The trade with DJ was fun, and then also meeting everybody on Monday night too was a blast, and getting to hang out and watch the game. So had a great time with
Bob,
all that.
since you opened up that door, I gotta ask you, what's
Hmm.
the worst trade offer you've received so far?
Oh. I can't remember. I think I had a couple that got withdrawn right away,
Mm.
that I didn't see until they had been withdrawn, so I didn't really look at those. But the DJ one, I think we kind of worked through. I think I kind of initiated the start of it, and it started with a 1-for-1 defensive player, and then it grew bit by bit until it was a four player trade on each side. So, it was fun to negotiate and work through that.
Yeah.
Hopefully by the end of the season it benefits both parties.
Well, I think that's the biggest trade. Chris can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's the biggest trade we've seen at least in the last 2 years, maybe even longer. I mean, a four-person
Oh wow.
trade is pretty substantial.
Have we had a 3-team trade yet?
We've never had a 3-team trade.
Feel like we should work something out just to say we've done it.
Are you sure
Corbin,
there looked like there was a 3-team trade from my team
Really?
before with when Iceman had it? It looked like, I was just looking back through the history, that I could see some trades. It looked like there was a 3-team trade, but
Okay.
maybe it was just proposed.
first of all, I love that
Very,
Bob
very
did
possible.
research on his team's history. I think that's fantastic. I love that so much.
Awesome.
If that's not the sign of a great manager, and let me tell you, this team, by the way, Bob, under your leadership, almost immediately, you almost beat Knoll in your first game, and then had a pretty strong victory this past week against Tank for Arch there. I think this team's been given quite the boost since you took the reins.
Well, that may stop this week with as half of my defense is on a bye week, and I don't have enough roster spots to even park everybody on the bench. So we're going to see how that's going to get a little creative here to see if I can actually field a team for this weekend.
Yeah.
Bob, can I interest you in loaning players out and just getting them back next week?
I'll reach out to you, Daniel.
Yeah.
Daniel, someone else very familiar with the league history.
Yeah.
All right, Daniel, since I asked Bob this question, I'd love to know your thoughts. Worst trade offer you received? I know you got a plethora of them as well early on.
Yeah, yeah. Rook Book. Who's that?
Luke
That's your
Brooks.
man, Luke.
Is that Luke?
Yeah,
Luke 8 days ago wanted to send me AJ Brown and Calvin Ridley, who, by the way, Calvin Ridley is out.
that tracks.
So he wanted Genty and Ibuka.
Oh,
Now, to be fair,
Hey, at least none of those players are actually retired. Luke has a history of retired players being on his active roster.
to be fair, I did make a joke and said they're on the trade block, but that was just a joke. for somebody to take it seriously kind of blew my mind, but here we are. And then 9 hours ago, he for some reason really wants Amarian Hampton, who's in the IR currently. so so I don't know, but I'd say him thinking I was going to actually trade away Genti and Ibuka is kind of blew my mind.
Sounds about right. I guarantee you, Fantasy Pros said that trade probably favored you actually. So he was doing you a
yeah,
favor on
Yeah.
that one,
yeah,
just
Yeah.
so you know.
yeah.
Yeah,
Fantasy
yeah.
Pros and Dynasty Daddies both
Yep.
had me winning that trade.
he's really looking out for others. A real giver
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Well,
Which funny
and
enough,
let me tell you
I
too.
worked with Luke.
Really?
I worked with Luke at a Camp Woodlands. So
Okay.
what a small world we live in.
Yeah.
What were your impressions of Luke when you met him?
I remember that he liked soccer, so I was like, okay, this is good. But he also, I don't know, for some reason, I just remember him being just like the most sarcastic person I've ever met. Like,
That sounds about
I
right.
think, the funny part that it was a Christian camp, and I think they hit on the point of how sarcasm wasn't a great quality to have. and so, and so, so I remember that for some reason. I could be making that up, but I don't know why that sticks out in my brain from that moment, from that time. So
One great thing about Luke and his contributions in our league is he always sends very pretty pictures. So if you search in Discord from Luke with pictures, you can just get a lot of pretty things. He does a lot of cool things. You get a lot of
Yeah,
just
really
like
world
iOS
traveler.
wallpapers.
Or
yeah,
better than that.
yeah. Oh no, you just have to. I can't spoil it. You just got to
Okay.
look at the stuff he sends.
Which he lives in
Um,
Birmingham, am I right?
correct.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful town.
James and I have talked about how
Happiest place on
Birmingham is
earth.
probably one of the most racist places on the United States right now.
We'll have to ask Luke for comment. That is awesome.
There's nothing better
Uh,
than being asked at a wedding if I'm working the wedding. I'm a groomsman. I was a groomsman.
That's actually an
Anyway,
funny.
experience that Daniel and I both have gotten to share at the Birmingham Country Club. A wonderful memory that will live with us on for eternity.
Oh, that is awesome.
All right, so moving on from that, let's take a look at the results from this past week. And let me just say that Monday night was one of the most exciting, like as far as a like prime time down to the wire weeks for the league as a whole. We had three games that were decided in the fourth quarter on Monday Night Football, and I don't remember the last time we had anything like that. One of those games obviously involved Daniel, who's with us tonight. So, gotta ask you, Daniel, what was going through your head throughout Monday when you beat Noel and then you didn't beat Noel and the stat corrections and all that mess?
I truly watching the game at Pickle Park. I mean, I couldn't see Buda Baker anywhere. I mean, we saw him when he recovered the fumble, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, there he is." After that, it was kind of like nowhere. But then somehow, I mean, 8 total points. That's kind of wild. And I'm pretty sure I picked him up on the waiver wire the this past week. I woke up at 3 a.m. and I won. The little trophy had 100%, and it was on my name. And I was like, "Oh my gosh." Then I woke up at 5 a.m. and I have lost. And I was so confused on I literally thought I was getting bamboozled by the corrupt commish. I still
It
don't
wouldn't be the
know.
first time.
I still think that he's got a tackle owed to him. So I'm waiting till tomorrow. That correction ends tomorrow. So I could have still maybe won this game. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
I mean, Buddha had. I think that forced fumble that got taken away from him um, ended up costing you. And I got mixed feedback. It sounded like Noel thought it was a forced fumble. Ricky thought it wasn't a forced fumble. I don't remember the play, and so I have no idea if it was a forced fumble or not. But I have never seen a stat correction come through like of that magnitude. I don't think where someone's losing 4 points. We see it
It's
happens all the
huge.
time where you'll see points adjust a little bit, like a half a point here, a point there. We've seen games come down to stat corrections before. It happens a couple times a season. But to see such a massive one as a forced fumble come through, just I don't think I've ever seen before. That was really unfortunate.
I think
Matchup
one
was
unique.
unreal.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a running back and a cornerback playing against each other.
I think one super unique thing about our league, because almost all the stat corrections happen on the defensive side, is that we pretty regularly have games that could be changed based on stat corrections. I forget. I think it was last year, or 2 years ago. There was like a pretty big offensive one, but almost never, is there an offensive stat correction. And even if the game, I mean, at this point it's 4 points, but if you're within 3 points, like you don't really feel easy until the next week truly is around Thursday. So it makes it makes it fun.
Can I ask one question about the league's integrity real quick?
Please.
Damar Hamlin dying. How did you guys handle it?
So that's
Very
actually a
good.
great question. So Damar Hamlin dying on the field, I think it took away like a whole game just never got played, if I remember correctly. I believe at the time, and to be honest with you, my memory is a little fuzzy around this, but I feel like at the time there wasn't a whole lot of impact as far as like what was actually taking place in our championship. And so
Okay.
I
So not
don't
memorable.
think
You guys didn't care.
It
did
didn't
we do
sway
anything?
anything.
Not even a
So
moment of silence, a prayer,
I
nothing.
I oh I pray. I mean, so I am a through and through Redskins fan. I have a Redskins football sitting right up there, signed by the great Jason Campbell and I believe Joey Cash, a bunch of people that didn't really play in the NFL
On
but
the
signed my
backs of
football.
Native Americans. Sounds great.
That's right. But my wife's family's big Bills fans, so we were all watching it. And the thing I will never forget is how many times it cut to commercial, and we got Whopper, Whopper, Burger King Whopper commercial played while everyone's holding their breath, like this something is not right here. I do think I had Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I've had that stack a couple times, and I don't think it really mattered for me. But I definitely could have had more points. I think I had a comfortable win at that
That's
time.
the
But
thing. Like
yeah, it wasn't.
I feel like it wasn't that substantial. Like it would have been different if Chris was playing for a national title with the Jamar
Yeah,
and Joe stack, but I really don't remember it being consequential for our league at that time. And you asked, did we have a moment of silence at least? Well, we've had to deal with much worse. We had a member of our league pass away during the 2017 season,
Yeah, it's the one that
which
you guys didn't find out.
that's right, that's right. And we were all Bob. I don't know if you've heard this story. We were
No.
all pissed because this guy stopped setting his lineup. He wasn't responding to trades. That was the biggest offense, was he wasn't replying to our trade offers. And we were all like collectively irate at this individual for like bailing on the league midseason. Well, fast forward like 4 months, and William Corbin texts me one day and he just says, so and so died. And I'm like, whoa, what? He's dead? He's like, yeah, he had a lung transplant that didn't take, and he ended up passing away. That's why he hasn't been checking his team. And so we've obviously
wow.
felt sick that we were so angry at this individual who was in eternity's gate, and our trophy is now named after him. And so when you get your hands on the trophy, if that day ever comes, just know that that trophy is a living testament to the life and legacy of our dear friend Jeffrey, who passed away in our
Can you
league. So
imagine? Can you imagine whoever had his phone after he passed away, and it's just going off with people just like cussing at him because he wasn't accepting trades?
like, hey Jeff,
That'd be
couldn't help but notice
something.
you didn't set your lineup this week. You gonna swap out your buys?
Do you have no more responsibility to the commitments that you've made in this lifetime?
Right,
Poor parents are
right.
like, "Hey guys, sorry to break it to you." Yeah, that was a unique time.
Yeah, that was
Imagine his
really
dad picking up his phone
disturbing,
and running his team for him.
dude. And
Yeah,
then leading it to a title. I mean, what a story. What a
Yeah.
story that could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, great question on DeMar Hamlin. Great question, DeMar Hamlin. I wish
Thank
we had
you.
a more exciting story for you. I really don't
That's
remember
okay.
it being that consequential for us at that time. But moving on from DeMar to teams and people that are living. So week 9, outside of that, I want to talk about the Bull City Bots and Rogue Broncos game. So that one between Rory and Brad, Brad obviously suffered a disastrous weekend. Tucker Kraft going down, Jaden Daniels going down for him, top of the league at 7-1. Then that happens. He's riding high and just comes crashing down, scores a paltry 135 points. Rory's got his beloved Dak Daddy playing on Monday Night Football. Dak just throws a complete egg. I mean, just a horrible game. And Rory ends up not finding the points that he needed, but he had the win with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And pretty much the last play of the game, Dak throws an interception, and that flips the game back over to Brad. So in spite of the horrible weekend that Brad had, he still was able to get the win against at the time, the Deep South Division lead, who now actually is Daniel, who's atop the Deep South despite being on a 4-game losing streak, or at least his team is. So that was an incredible contest that came right down to it on Monday night. Chris, were there any other matchups that stood out to you from this past week?
I mean, I kind of mentioned on Monday, our matchup I think was shocking to give you credit, putting up the second highest amount of points. I honestly felt like it'd be a coin flip. I felt pretty good about my team putting up 100, 154. Definitely not the lowest. Kind of probably a little bit below average, but yeah, you kind of blew me out of the water with the big household names of K Monogamagamihi and I mean JSN. He had some big guys in there. But, yeah, really shocked by that one. I know it's my own matchup, but props to you having a 4-5 record.
Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate the kind words,
Hey
but I
guys,
don't appreciate the disrespect to Maganagani. Yeah, Daniel.
Monogamy?
my phone's dying and I gotta go fix this stuff before it gets too late.
Well, hey, man,
Would it be
thanks for
kosher?
joining.
Do the Lord's work.
Get
Do
that
the
circle
Lord's
Fix those
back
work.
up, man.
systems.
Thank you. I hope this is not held against me.
No, it won't be.
Oh,
Godspeed.
it will be 100%.
God knows Kurth John Alexander the 98th is gonna have some words about it.
Have a good night, Daniel.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining.
Bye guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you, Daniel.
All right, Bob, turn it over to you. How did you feel about your matchup with Tank for Arch?
Well, I think still trying to get, I guess, legs under me with the running backs and my wide receivers. I think Caleb Williams led my team in both passing and receiving, and I think he put up 47 points by himself, and that pretty much was the difference in the game there. I think I was kind of mediocre throughout the rest of the lineup, so really looking to improve that. But yeah, still trying to get or figure out like who my receivers are going to be, and if I even have any running backs.
Yeah, one thing that stands out to me about your team, though, is actually your defense. You had 4 linebackers that all scored double-digit points, and another defensive back that added to that as well. And so your defense really carried your team this week because you're right. I mean, your receivers, DeAndre Hopkins got 0, Keenan Allen 5, Tet got 7, and then your running backs, Chase Brown actually had a good game, but like your defense played lights out. I mean, to have 4 linebackers get 10 or more points is almost unheard of. I don't think it's happened this season.
Yeah. 86 defensive points. And funny enough, Ricky had 99.5 defensive points, almost 100 points on defense. So yeah, those defensive points really matter. The average this week was about 60 points. So both those guys really earning the points on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and you mentioned Ricky there. So looking at his team, Ricky's defensive backs went off. He was in a similar situation. I see 16, 14, 11. He had 2 of his linebackers got double digits. He had 17 and 13 and a half. That 13 and a half is a guy that I dropped after week 1 because he got hurt. So love seeing that. Love seeing my draft pick succeed in other teams. And for Ricky, that was a matchup where he really did get. We've talked about the auto dub. We've joked about that with Kurth. Easily the most humble man in the room, but Ricky got blown out really, and that's with his defense going off like that. His offense really struggled. His top offensive scorer, which is hilarious to me, is Olamide Zacchaeus. And I don't even know if I'm saying that name right. It's just one of those guys formerly of the Atlanta Falcons. But
Zacharias.
is that what it is? Zacharias? Well, Zacharias was his top scorer with 15 points on offense there.
I
It's
think he picked
surprising
him
to
up
see
because I
Ricky
was
struggle.
looking. I think he just
Yeah.
picked him up too.
Were you looking at him? You almost added him?
Well, yeah, I was looking for people.
Added from waivers.
It was him or DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
See how that went.
No, you're very right. I mean, definitely below standard week for Children of the Corn. Almost no offensive production. JT has been not carried him. I mean, he's had a really strong team. It's just kind of everyone decided to take a nap on the same day.
Yeah, and like when you look at his roster, though, really the only starter that he was missing was Baker. So is that a sign of concern if you're Ricky that you had JT, you had Chuba, you had Tyler Warren, and you had Vidal in there? Like, I think that's something to keep an eye on for him. Maybe his team peaked too soon.
It'd be interesting to see him down the stretch. I mean, I think he's pretty much automatically in the playoffs, so probably doesn't have to worry about anything there. But
yeah,
we'll have to see. It's almost like my year. I think I went 7-0, and then into the season like 8-6. Hopefully, that's not his fate. It's definitely possible to go on those bad streaks. Have a team peak too soon.
Yeah, Chris, were there any other matchups that stood out to you this past week?
Yeah, I always got to call out my best friend DJ. An abysmal performance again. 123 points versus Libby. Libby's getting some wins, getting some traction. His team actually did fairly well, put up 175 points. Justin Herbert really balled out. And T. Higgins just really coming alive with about 32 points. So good to see Libby picking up a win. And yeah, I mean, I always make fun of DJ. He is the number 16 points for and points against again. But kind of a week you wouldn't expect. Patrick Mahomes had an off week, put up about 7 points. Bijan put up about 15, which is definitely slow for Bijan. And yeah, just no real defensive production either. So a tough one to watch. And again, glad to see Libby hopefully getting lower or less dogs on the hot dog meter there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's surprising to see, like, as much as Libby has struggled this year, and his team's not bad, he just doesn't have the wins to show for it. He's only one game out from first place in his division. I mean, that Deep South division, it truly is wide open for the taking. Tank for Arch is one game out. Like, to have all four teams be within one game of each other is pretty insane. And for DJ, I mean, Chris, we know how you feel about DJ's team, but really, how concerned should DJ be right now?
I mean, I've said it all along. The wins are definitely luckier wins. It's probably not going to be sustainable. He's at 4-5. Brad is running away with the Southwest, so his only chance is a wild card, and really doesn't look good. Hopefully he's able to maybe get a few wins, slip into the playoffs. If not, he'll need to continue getting lucky in the toilet bowl.
Yeah. All right, Bob, turning it over to you. Do you mind previewing or reviewing the Billy Buck versus North Korean Fighting Kim's matchup?
Well, let me look. Yeah, that one didn't look close. Looks like the Kim's 230 points. Is that like a record for a week? Or if not, that's probably pretty close.
Not quite, but it is very high. Yeah, that's an exceptional score.
Oh, is this what we were talking about too? Geno Smith getting picked up or
Yes.
traded for or getting picked up?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. That's right. We were talking about it
Putting up
Monday night.
30. Yep. Putting up 35 points, and then McCaffrey another 36. Uh, Man, he had a running back too that only went for 1 point, so it could have been even
That's
worse.
scary.
Yeah. Oh, and he had Drake London, who had a
Hmm.
total three touchdown day against the Patriots. So yeah, that was not much you can do when your opponent puts up 230 points. You just kind of say, "Good game," and go on to the next week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he had two guys that it looks like are two roster spots that were open at that, which is pretty wild that he was able to
It's
do
on
that.
brand.
And then, yeah, it's on brand. And then adding Colston Loveland as well right before the weekend, who got 30 points. Like, I mean, it seems very fortunate, obviously, but it's savvy management at the end of the day. And for Billy Buck, who is now the only team that has 2 wins or less, um, he's in some big trouble. He really, realistically, if he loses one more game, he's out of the playoff race. And that's despite him being the sixth highest scoring team in this league, which is pretty
Yeah,
shocking that you could be
and
in this position.
he he's kind of the opposite foot of DJ. Number one points against by like 134 points. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
this was like a huge week contributing to that, but he's just run up against the buzzsaw and hate it for him to possibly have his third punishment. But yeah, his team's looking rough.
Yeah, I'm with you. I hate it for him because it just, this year looks so promising. And he's a great guy, and he's already had to do the punishment twice. I don't want to see him do it again. Um, I still have faith that he can turn it around, but if James Cook really is out this week as well, on top of everything else, it's going to be a challenge for sure. Last game from last week is Maverick versus Dolphin Death. So that was another one of the Monday night games. Dolphin Death was down 3 points heading into Monday night. Had Zaven Collins, who ended up getting hurt during the game, missed like 2 quarters. He did come back before the end of the game, but by the time that he came back, there wasn't a whole lot going on, and he ended up not getting anything. He got close to 2 sacks during the game, which would have given Dolphin Death the win, but it just was one of those games where it wasn't meant to be. And Dolphin Death dropped to 5-4. Maverick went up to 6-3, and now Maverick looks like pretty much a lock for the playoffs. While Dolphin Death still has some work to do to get everything figured out. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on.
That is one where I still think I think Zaven Collins could get another half sack, which is half a point. But you never know.
Yeah.
So it's not close in stat corrections, but it's one where if I'm either of those guys, I'm thinking, hey, I could still flip this one.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so this next week, since we spent some extra time interviewing our new guys, let's just all pick one game that we'll preview from this next week's um, matchup slate, and I'll start us off with the Commission's game of the week. And going through these matchups here, every game is a big game. Like at this point in the season, with how close everybody is, every game is a big game, but I think the matchup to watch this week is Cox on top and their auto dub versus Bull City Bots. We just need to see how Brad responds after the injuries that he's had this past weekend. Kurth won a game and ended a little bit of a skid there, I believe. So, he's back in where he wants to be, and he's tied for the division lead, but is behind in the points for tiebreaker. So this could be a huge win for him. And for Brad, he's got to show that his team still has some teeth to it as well. Chris, what about you? Which matchup are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm looking at the team Billy Buck versus DJ.
Mm,
So
hmm
it'll be an interesting one. Again, looking for Team Billy Buck to get some momentum, hopefully get a win. Projections aren't super close. I think there's still some lineup setting that needs to happen. But hopefully the trend continues for DJ's sake, where everyone that plays Billy Buck puts up monumental weeks and he can get a
Yeah.
win. All my hatred for DJ, I have physical cash actually backing him. So some part of me wants him to be able to squeak out some wins, and I think he could be closer than, again, projections. Some good matchups here, some players that can really go off. So yeah, we'll see. I'll be excited about that one.
Well, it's a great call because it's the two longest losing streaks in the league. Jose's lost 6 straight, and DJ's lost 3. So one of those is gonna break this week, which is awesome. Bob, any of the matchups stand out to you?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Ice HR with Daniel versus the Corn Cob and Will. Both are in first place in their divisions, and both need a win to stay up there because they're both in the South and the Deep South. They're both really tight. Um, you know, the bunch teams stacked at the top there. So, whoever wins that game is going to be looking pretty.
William has the great stack of Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goedert both playing Monday night. So we could see some heroics possibly and have another edge of the seat game.
Well, and he's also William. The funny thing is, this one the projection is 59% leaning Daniel, which is pretty surprising to see. And Williams got George Pickens and Rashee Rice both on bye this week, so that'll be interesting to see what he can do. He's also got an empty defensive line spot. Classic, but I could see this being one of those matchups where if it's tight on Sunday, I think William drops somebody and ends up filling that one up. So something to keep an eye on for sure. Well, I think the last thing I'll say on Week 10 is the Commissioner's Lock of the Week, which, as we know, has been a little bit of a curse for everybody. And Bob, I hate to do this to you, but I think the lock of the week has got to be Dolphin Death versus the South Georgia Catfish. Just like you said earlier, you have a number of guys on bye this week, a number of your high-hitting linebackers that you relied on last week to help deliver the win. And I think with all those guys being out, it's going to be a tough one for you.
Well, we're going to fight, so we're going to do our best, but that's all we can do.
That's right. That's right. Well, Bob, Chris, did you have something you wanted to add? Bob, before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from your perspective, who are the 3 worst teams in this league?
Oh, I haven't looked that closely. I just have to go by the records as they stand today. But yeah, I don't know the teams well enough to say that.
Do you have anybody that stands out to you maybe as the top 3? Like any teams that you've seen that you've been really impressed by in your 2 whole weeks in this league?
Both weeks. Well, the 1 week too was only like a Monday night game.
Right. Right.
But no, I mean, just kind of looking more deeply and getting to talk to William on Monday night, and his team looks really strong with some of the moves that he's made. So I would rather not play him.
All right, that's awesome. So I know we put you on the spot there. I know you're brand new and haven't quite gotten to see how the teams operate, and certainly the managers. I think next year you'll have a lot more insight on that one hopefully once you're able to meet everybody this next draft weekend.
It's been a good preview, if this leads to the draft next year, kind of getting a preview of the league and who everybody is, it'll should be beneficial going into the draft next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Oh yes.
Absolutely. Well,
James, could you give us your bottom 3? Get a take from the commissioner.
I love that. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so right now, I think the 3rd worst team in the league. I'm going to start at the 3rd spot and then work my way down from there. Let me pull up the form real quick, the playoff probability form, which if y'all haven't seen is on the power rankings page. I think the 3rd worst team in the league.
Very well done job with that, by the way.
Thank you very much. It took a lot longer than I thought it would, actually. So I'm glad to hear it. I think the 3rd worst team in the league right now, as things stand, I think it's got to be you, Chris. Unfortunately, I think the loser of our game had that spot pretty much wrapped up. And like we talked about last week, I mean, the difference between being 3-6 and 4-5 is enormous. And so I think you've definitely got a shot to make the playoffs. Just because your division, the leader's only 2 games up, so a lot can change over the next few weeks. But I think you're in a tricky position now to make the playoffs. Um, I'm not going to put Jose in my bottom 3 because I don't believe that his team's a bottom 3 team. I think when you're the 6th highest scorer in the league, regardless of your record, you deserve some respect. I think the second worst team in the league is Tank for Arch. And probably a week ago, I would have had him at the bottom spot. But, I think he's made a few moves that have helped him. I don't think his outlook is enormously positive, but he's actually got a legit shot at the playoffs with him being only 1 game back from the division crown. Um, and I think the worst team in the league, and I hate to say this, I think it's Big City Belief. I look at that roster and I just don't see anything there that I feel like he's going to pull his way out of this thing, especially the big trade for Kyler, hoping to get him to come in. And now Kyler's on IR because the new Call of Duty game's coming out and he's not going to be playing anytime soon. So I think if I'm DJ, I'm really nervous because that 4 wins at the beginning of the season is not going to be enough to save him from the hot dog bracket. And I don't see him getting 3 or 4 more wins the rest of the season. So I think if there's anyone that I would want to play, I think it's DJ from this point forward. And then in the top 3 positions, we've had quite a little bit of a shakeup at the top. I think, for all that we've talked about with Brad, Brad probably was my number 1 last week, and I think after the injuries that moves him down to that 3rd spot. So I think Brad stays up there. I'm gonna keep him at 3 though. I don't think his outlook's quite as poor as he put himself in the power rankings that came out today. I think he was as low as 6 or 7, and he's definitely not that. I mean, he lost a couple of guys that are big name players for him, but he's got some good depth. Number 2 is Ricky. Ricky's got a solid team, and I think he's going to be just fine. He had a down week this week. He's going to be just fine. His team has shown that over the course of the season, and he's proven to have had a great draft. And then above Ricky in the number 1 spot, and I hate to say it, and I genuinely hate to say this, but it's got to be the North Korean Fighting Kims. We gave him a hard time for that George Pickens trade a few weeks back, but I stand by it. I think Pickens is an upgrade on Debo. Pearsall's been hurt, and there's no guarantee that he plays. I mean, we don't know how much Pearsall will even contribute. And the Spencer Rattler acquisition, who would have thought that he would get benched the next week? That was just unfortunate. But Spencer wasn't going to start for him anyway. So I think it's a good move for him at the end of the day. And I think he's still in a really strong position to potentially win his 3rd league title.
It's painful.
It hurts. It hurts to say, and I'm a little embarrassed that I said it. We might need to edit that piece out after this is all said and done.
Yeah, let's correct that part. I love the takes. I'm obviously, my eyes are more to the toilet bowl right now than the playoffs, and it could get really interesting. There could be some kind of strong teams that are in that losers bracket.
Yeah. I mean, it's a slog in the middle.
Yep. It really is. And like you said, between
people start to spread out a little bit as the next couple of weeks and see if we can put some distance one way, going up or going down.
Yeah. And that's where we talked about it last week. Like every game pretty much at this point is a championship game. Like every game matters just because of how tight everything is in the middle.
Yeah. And it's funny that any player, I think, in the Deep South could make the playoffs, and also any of those teams could also be competing for the hot dogs. So,
and you're right. I mean,
very interesting division.
And I think whoever wins it is probably a hot dog worthy team. At this point, whoever wins the Deep South is probably a hot dog worthy team that pretty much gets immunity right off the bat. I think the 3 that miss out in the playoffs in that division have to be favorites for it.
Yeah. Yep.
So something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Well, Bob,
it was a wild season.
Thank you so much for joining us on this podcast tonight. We're so glad to have you, and so glad to have you in this league. We're very excited for what the rest of this season holds, and hopefully many seasons to come. But we loved having you on tonight, and hopefully this will give everyone a little bit of a taste of who you are.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me to the league, and hopefully we can finish up strong and have a have a good season.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Chris, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I really hope your pick'ems, Bob, start to get much worse.
Yeah.
Every week you're just right there.
Chris, I think you finished second place in Pick'em like 4 weeks.
I know I followed it a little too closely. I should just like wait till Monday, but I'm always looking, like figuring out what would happen, and every time it's just right there, but not quite. But hey, I won 1 week, so playing for free now.
That's right. That's right.
But
Well, that's
right.
actually why we invited Bob to the league, is to maybe give him a little bit of a distraction on the weekend so we could make up
that's
some ground
smart.
in the Pick'em.
There we go.
Well, it worked last week because I don't think one of the favored teams won last week. I think it was all upsets.
It was nuts,
It
except
was
for Ole
brutal.
Miss. Ole Miss pulled through just like we all thought they would, unfortunately. But at least we
Yeah.
got rid of Mike Shula. So there's freedom.
There
Freedom
you
in
go.
that defeat. So, all right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining tonight. We will see everybody next week, and good luck this weekend.
Awesome. Thank
Thanks,
you,
guys.
everybody.
Bye.